Hi everyone, welcome to Mindshop Studio. It's Chris and today we're doing another MicroBit lesson. Today we're going to turn the lights on in a spiral. Before we turn them on and off in rows, but now we're going to turn them off in a spiral. I think it's more interesting. And actually what I want to do is show you two ways to do this. Because when we're coding is about problem solving. And often there's more than one way to do things. So I'm going to walk you through the code from the first way of doing it, and then we're going to do it together the second way of doing it, which I think is actually the easier way. Are you ready? Go ahead and fire up your browser, go to makecode.microbit.org and follow along with me. All right, guys, I've loaded up my first attempt at making the blinker spiral, and let's walk through the code together. You can see on my simulator, it's running, it's doing what it's supposed to do. It turns all the lights on in a spiral and then turns all of them off. So we still had our variables vertical and horizontal, just like we did in the first blinker app. And then I said for index from 0 to 4, toggle, because toggle is an easy way to turn things on and off, toggle horizontal, vertical, pause 1/10 of a second, and then we change horizontal by 1, and that starts the lights going that way. Then the problem with this is that we get to 4 and then we add one more because the change horizontal is within this loop, and so it's actually going to end up with a horizontal at 5. So then I have to go here and change the horizontal by -1 and change vertical by +1 so that we don't light the same light twice, or toggle it because that would turn it back off. And then we go down and now we have an index from 0 to 3, okay? And then we do the same thing, we change vert by 1, and then again, you see I have to now change horizontal by -1, vertical by -1. Index is 0 to 3, we do the same thing. We change horizontal by 1, we change vertical by -1. We do an index from 0 to 2, and then we do the same thing. Change, 0 to 2, same thing, change. It's really, I mean, it works, but it's really not that great. So now what I want to do is show you the easier way of doing this. So let's go ahead and do this better way, easier way together. And I am actually going to throw away all of the boxes. All right, now I've created two new variables. One variable is called max for maximum and min for minimum. And so we're going to put these in here. First, we'll set minimum to 0, and we'll set maximum to 4. This way, max and min line up with our lights, right? 0 is the first light, 0, 0, and 4, 4 being the last light. So 0 to 4 makes sense for our light. And now I'm going to use a while loop. And we're actually going to put another while loop inside this while loop. So we're going to have a nested while loop. When you put a loop inside a loop, we call it a nested loop. If you have an if-then statement and you put another if-then statement in it, nested if-then statements. This is a very common thing to do in programming. And I'm going to say for this one, that as long as max is greater than min, and you know, this is something I really like about doing Scratch with MicroBit, is that you can just copy the variables and they're interchangeable because they have a drop down. I think that's really nice. And now we'll put our other while loop in here. And this while loop will say while horizontal, we'll say while horizontal is less than max, we'll do what goes in the loop. And so we'll use our toggle. And we will toggle horizontal and vertical. And because this will go fast, we're going to put a pause. And then, of course, we need to change it. So we will change horizontal by 1. And there, we have lit our first part of the lights. All right, now let's do the same thing. So this time we'll say while vertical is less than max, we'll toggle our lights and we'll change vertical by 1. Bam, next section. Copy this again. And we say while horizontal, so we have to move horizontal again. And we want to say while horizontal is greater than min. So we can go the other direction. And while horizontal is greater than min, and then we'll change horizontal by -1. And that should get us back. And now we'll say while vertical is greater than min, we will change vertical by -1. And that should bring us all the way back around. Boom. So there you go. We've created now a loop that goes around the outside. And now we just need to change or step our variables by 1, and then we can bring it all the way in. So let's go ahead and do that. So we want to change our vertical by 1. We want to change the horizontal by 1. We want to change the minimum by 1. And we want to change the maximum by -1. And let's see what happens now. Okay, so now all my lights are lighting except that very last light. But that's okay. That's a really easy fix. I'll just get a toggle and I'll put it outside the loop so it's the last thing to happen, and we'll toggle 2, 2. And remember, I put the toggle outside the big while loop, okay? So inside the big while loop, we change all our variables. We add 1 to vertical, horizontal, and minimum, and we subtract 1 from maximum. So basically we're getting everything closer, right? We brought max and min closer to each other. And then outside the loop, after everything is done, we toggle that last light. We do coding all the time, and sometimes we do it the wrong way. And if you do it the wrong way, it's often good to go back and revisit your code and think, can I do this better? Can I make this simpler? And you know, if you want, when you're making your code, one cool thing is you can right click and add a comment. So I can make a note here that said, this is the master loop. And that way I'll always remember, you know, that this is the big loop. And then I can add comments to all of the other ones. Top row of lights. So by using comments, somebody else comes and looks at my code, they'll know what I'm doing, and maybe they will have a better idea and think, hey, why don't we change this and do it this way instead? I really like when you work with people and you work together on a project, because you can use your different ideas and see who has an idea, because you want to take as little time as possible and you want it to be smooth and use as little resources as possible. So, you know, that's what coding is about, solving problems. All right, everyone, thank you for joining me here at MindShop Studio. I'm really glad to have you. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you again real soon. Goodbye.